execution-style murders of 6 women on Friday night in the same area.
A community held hostage by violent crime, murders and lawlessness. Marching on the local police station to demand an end to the carnage, many community members are too scared to be identified or to tell their stories.
It is a reality because people don't want to speak up because of they become a target. We don't know who's watching.
Community members claim many parts of Philippi East are no-go areas.
We have too much killings and the police they're not visible. So we're here so that the police can help us because every day and every week there are killings.
Even going to work is a daring task.
Before I'm leaving, I'm just standing on the corner and see on the street there is no scholars or not. And then I'm running from my house to the taxi rank, and the taxi rank is too far from my house. So I'm so scared. I don't know where I'm staying now because I'm so scared.
5 men between the ages of 18 and 39 were killed in 2 separate incidents on Saturday night. Police have initiated an action plan and have called on community members to come forward with information.
The 72-hour action plan in response to this entails lockdown and operations in the area that are conducted by public order policing, K9 and flying squad members. From an investigation perspective, detectives with crime intelligence are hard at work following leads that could result in the arrest of the perpetrators.
The motives for the killings are not known at this stage. In September 2017, 11 people were shot and killed during a shooting spree at a tavern in the Marikana informal settlement, also in Philippi East. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Philippi East.
To discuss the security situation in Philippi, we're joined via telephone by Dr Johan Burger from the Institute of Security Studies. A very good morning to you, Dr Burger. The 72-hour action plan not yielding any immediate results right now. Is this a sign that it's not working?
Good morning, Deza. It's too early to say that it's not working. I think what the police now need to do is at least 2 things. The one is they need to maintain a high visible presence in that particular area to sort of calm the situation and to reassure the public, the local community, and to ease the tension. But they also need a second leg to this action plan, which relates to a investigating probe where they find out who the perpetrators are and arrest them. So the essence is that until they have arrested the perpetrators, they should not leave that area, at least not as far as their high density presence is concerned. So until there are arrests of those perpetrators, they would not have been successful as far as this plan is concerned. But the fact that they have an action plan, that they have a sort of a lockdown approach, that they have apparently included into this plan, they have the idea of identifying and arresting the perpetrators. I think those are the correct stuff. All we now need to do is to see results.
You're talking about the importance of visibility, yet there's a perception of no control in terms of police in that region. Apparently, the local police station hasn't had a station commander for about 6 months. The station commander has been off sick for about 6 months, which means whoever is in charge is in an acting position.
Yeah, something is extremely wrong in that particular area, and this points to the leadership in the province. That points to the provincial commissioner and his senior staff. If you have a situation where the station commander has been absent for whatever reason for such a long period, and you have an acting station commander, and from news reports, the acting station commander was also absent for a long time. Nobody seems to know precisely where he or she has been all this time. But the fact that there was no intervention from the provincial police leadership is shocking, to say the least. And somebody must be held accountable for allowing this situation to develop.
Just by looking at the initial facts of this heinous crime, are you able to perhaps look into some of the elements and say you can see something coming out of it? You're able to tell the modus operandi for committing this crime, whether it's a group or an individual?
Well, it looks like it's group-based. Of course, we have far too little information to make any real valid conclusions from the situation. But it looks like it's a situation where there was an action by a group of people against another group of people, and it's a situation that's developing where you have revenge and counter-revenge, and so there's action-reaction in a criminal sense. So clearly, when you have this kind of situation, it should be easier for the police. If it was an individual, I can understand that it may be a little more difficult, but I am convinced that we are talking about opposing groups of people, whatever the motives are, but it seems to be criminal. And one would expect in an instance such as this that the police should be able to get information about who's involved.
So the calls for the President and the Police Minister to declare Philippi East a security risk, will this supersede the 75-hour position, the 72-hour action plan, and what use will it be?
Well, I doubt that this is going to happen in terms of declaring this a national security risk. I don't think it meets the requirements for a threat to national security, but that it is a serious criminal situation, that is obvious, and one would expect that the police would treat this as a high crime, high risk area, and that they will then deal with it in response to targeting this as a high crime area.
Dr. Burger, what role can the community play in situations such as this, especially witnesses?
Yeah, you see, I think, first of all, of course, one would expect members of the community to come forward with information, because I am certain that there are individuals within that particular community who knows who the people involved are, and they should share that information with the police. But the moment I say this, I realize that there is a huge fear factor. People are extremely worried and concerned about their safety, and would be unwilling to share that information if there is no absolute guarantee for their safety. So I think the police should, by inviting the community to come forward with the information, also provide the sort of communication channels that would ensure that their identity is kept secret, and that they are provided with the necessary safety guarantees. It's once they are able to do that, and they can convince the community that they would be anonymous, and that they would be guaranteed that the information they share would not be linked to them directly, at least not at this stage, then I'm certain members of the community will come forward with information.
Philippi falls into one of those areas in the Western Cape that have gang-related challenges, gang-related violence challenges. Are you saying that are we able to even connect this latest crime to gang-related practices?
Well, as I said, we have far too little information to make any clear deductions from what the situation is. But though the little we know, it does seem to be some form of gang-related violence. And what is astonishing is that it's not only Philippi where you see this kind of violence, gang-related violence. It's all over, especially the Cape Flats, that you see this happening. There's been a number of studies done, research studies on the situation, gang violence, and gang-related criminal activity in the Western Cape that neither the police nor the Western Cape government were able until now to successfully identify the problems that gives rise to this ongoing criminal behavior in the Western Cape. And because they are unable to do so, or haven't been able to do so until now, they are unable to find a solution to the problem. So hopefully the situation that we've now seen developing in the Philippi area will be a wake-up call. Look at what is available in terms of research already done, and make certain that from those studies, there's a proper process of identifying the root causes of the problem, and then collectively sit down with the police. I mean, this is not simply a police matter. It's not something that the police can deal with alone. Of course, they should deal with the violence now and the murders and the attacks and the things the police do. But the solution to the problems on the Cape Flats is a much wider problem in terms of its solution, which means a number of other government departments and other role players, community-based organizations, NGOs, etc., should become involved in finding a solution for this ongoing problem.
And finally, as citizens, when we're totally shocked by a crime such as this one, but security studies, that community, with all the studies that you've put out, when you see a crime such as this, is it within the realm of what the trends you've been seeing, or are you also shocked?
No, I'm absolutely shocked. I mean, you know, we've become sort of accustomed to the occasional gang-related shootings, one or two people being shot, and then there's a revenge attack at some stage, but it's usually ones and twos. But to see large numbers of people in such a short period, I mean 11 people just this weekend, is absolutely shocking. And it just shows you that if the authorities, and I'm talking about this broadly because I want to emphasize the fact it's not just a police problem, and therefore also the solution in itself is not just would not just come from the police. But if we do not act now and find a proper solution to this ongoing problem, this kind of violence that we are now seeing is going to escalate. It's going to become worse, because if you do not solve the problem now, the root cause of the problem, why would it become better? It won't solve itself. There needs to be some kind of authoritative intervention if we want to see a stop to this kind of violence.
Dr. Johan Burger, thank you so much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
The inquiry